You are watching William Patterson University Television.
Welcome back to the desk. We're in the heart of the madness in the NCAA tournament, and Stephen, Chris, Richard, and Philip are here to break everything down for you. And fellas, last night saw 4 Sweet 16 games go down, including a thriller between Tennessee and Purdue. Philip, take us through that game. What'd you see?
Yeah, well, the game was definitely a thriller. I mean, all 4 games last night, excluding maybe that lowest scoring half in all time. But the Purdue-Tennessee game from the start was a thriller. Tennessee had such a good tempo going forward, and they built an early lead, and then Tennessee had that great comeback later on. I know we're all thinking about the controversial call at the end, but other than that, Purdue proved themselves to be an actual scary opponent, because a lot of people had Tennessee going far. Me personally, I had them in the Final Four, so seeing them fall out like this was a big shocker, and it really puts Purdue on the map.
Richard?
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't stop Ryan Klein. I mean, the guy shot lights out for Purdue. I mean, without him, I don't even think they would have been in the game. It's just sad to see Tennessee go down. A lot of good seniors in Schofield, Grant Williams. But, I mean, Tennessee, they got beat by a better team that night.
We just saw a lot of pieces of their 14-0 run in that late in that second half. Ultimately, that Carson Edwards fouled three-pointer ended up sealing the free throws to send in overtime, and from overtime, it was all Purdue.
Chris?
I mean, outside of Ryan Klein's 7 threes in this game, Carson Edwards is probably a better shooter, if we think about it, and he's a next-level player also. So there's 2 things right there that Purdue has going, and if you have 2 players that can get you 20-plus points from beyond the three-point line, then you're talking about serious firepower offensively.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that, they really had Tennessee, at least in the Final Four. Some people even had them winning the entire thing. They were definitely a team that was slept on. But, yeah, Purdue definitely deserved the win, and they worked really hard for it.
You're wearing Purdue colors, Steven, so intentional there. Now, tonight we have another quartet of Sweet 16 games. Richard, which one of those do you have your eye on?
The game I'm looking out for is Michigan State LSU. I just like the backcourt matchup we're getting with Skylar Mays and Tremont Waters of LSU against Matt McQuaid and Cassius Winston. I think the LSU physical game style they play, they pick up 94 feet. I think it's going to throw Michigan State off rhythm unless Matt McQuaid has a Ryan Klein type of night. I think Nazarene and the Tigers get it done.
Chris?
How can you not have your eyes on Duke and Virginia Tech? It's going to be the highest-rated game tonight, and the reason why is because of Zion Williamson. That's where I'm going to start. Obviously, this guy is a freak, and he's going to be the #1 overall pick in the draft. There's not really much else to say about him. There's talent on Virginia Tech. This is where I want to highlight. They have Nickel Alexander, a really good guard. He's going to play at the next level also. Very, very good. And Kerry Blackshear's a very experienced big man, and we saw what type of trouble Taco Fall gave Duke. I think Duke will bounce back because they played such a close game just recently. I think they're going to be in another gear tonight.
It's funny you mentioned Duke.
Yes.
One thing that gets lost around the season is the announcement of the Wooden Award, the prestigious Most Outstanding Player Award. Going to be announced on April 9th, and I think we kind of have an idea of who's going to win. Philip, take us through your favorite.
Yeah, it's obviously Zion Williamson. I mean, I'd like to throw in guys like Brandon Clarke, I think is a second, but a very distant second. Just looking at Zion's stats, they're pretty insane. Almost 23 points a game, 22.5, almost 9 rebounds. Win shares per 40 minutes, #1 in the NCAA. Their win-loss record, only 1 loss at full strength, and that was to Gonzaga. The other one was without Trey Jones and Cam Reddish. And then the box plus minus, 20.3. I know a lot of people don't really know too much about box plus minus.
I don't.
Yeah, it's not a stat many are familiar with, but it's essentially an advanced stat talking about the in and outs of how the team plays on and off the court and all that stuff. 20.3, that is not only the highest this year, that's the highest it's ever been recorded from any player in NCAA history. It's only been around for around 10 years, but that's still, I think, an insane thing to fathom that we're watching a freshman, and we've only seen 2 freshmen ever win the Wooden Award, and that's Katie and Anthony Davis, and look how good they are in the NBA. So Zion winning that is a huge deal, I think.
So Richard, Zion or the field, who are you taking?
I'm taking the field, honestly. I mean, I'm on the. I understand.
You gotta have someone.
I mean, my pick,
Yeah.
like, to beat them.
You
I
have
mean,
any-
I just think with the limitations of Trey Jones and other shooters on Duke, Zion, when better competition comes, he's not going to be able to do it by himself.
I think his biggest disqualifier is the fact that Duke is such a good team overall. So voters might single that out, but I still think it's pretty much a lock for him at this point.
He shoots like 75% inside the three-point arc, guys.
Yeah.
And he shoots like 68% overall. just the fact that you can't stop him going to the basket, it's absolutely ridiculous. He's 6'6", 280, and he's nimble, dribbles the ball, passes it well. He's one of the best prospects that we've seen probably since LeBron James.
Yeah, definitely I have to go with Zion because we were just talking about it earlier. He's one of those guys that probably could have just gone straight to the NBA from high school. He's too big-bodied for all these little college kids in there. So I personally have, Zion taking the Wooden Award.
Now let's get back to the tournament at large. Right now, 2 weeks away from the national championship. Steven, who is your favorite out of the remaining teams to take it home?
I got 3 witnesses here. I've kept it consistent every year. Give me the Tar Heels, led by Luke May. They're going to take it home this year. They're definitely the favorites. They're the more well-rounded team. You got a lot of seniors on there. You got a lot of upperclassmen that'll, just veteran leadership that have pretty much made it far in the tournament every single year. So I think they're going to lead them to the championship.
Chris?
I chose Duke to win it all. I don't know if I gave it away already during the block, but Duke, I think, is the favorite because just given the talent on their team, obviously, but I want to talk about their 2 possibilities on where teams can exploit them. They can't shoot very well, so if they can avoid a terrible shooting stretch in these next 4 games they have to win, they'll be fine. And also, they're really inconsistent at times, and it starts with when the ball gets into the wrong hands and they let players try and have too much free roam. So Coach K is going to reel them in. 4 games to go. If anyone knows how to get it done, it's Coach K.
Richard?
I'm going to piggyback off Steven. I'm also going to go with UNC. I just think they're the most complete team. Obviously, they have a great coach in Roy Williams, but Kobe White, excuse me. I'm a guard guy. I think he's one of the best point guards in the country. If it does come down to Duke, Carolina, I think he'll outplay Trey Jones, so that's my deciding factor.
Well, right now the favorites in the tournament are Duke, but there's only one team that's beaten them at full strength. I mentioned before, it's Gonzaga, and I still have them going forward. I picked them in the beginning. I'm going to stick with them at the end. It's weird talking about veterans when it comes to NCAA because there's only 4-year players, but even in the tournament, we always seen that veteran teams are usually the ones that are the most disciplined and lead their way more consistently to championships. And this is a team that doesn't rely on a lot of freshmen. Duke is kind of freshman heavy. Their 4 best players are all freshmen. So I think Gonzaga, especially backed by Brandon Clarke, probably one of the better defenders in the country. Like I said, I think he's the second best player in the country. Rui Hachimura is a great player. Both those are going to be top NBA prospects. I don't see how Gonzaga doesn't have the opportunity to not only face Duke in the Final Four, win that, and then maybe beat UNC in the finals.
Well, my bracket's busted, so I don't really have a say in this. But that's all we have for this episode of WP Sports Desk. Thank you to our analyst crew and studio manager, Al Clarke. From Studio B in Hobart Hall, I'm Dante Vocaturo. We'll see you next time.